Hi everyone and welcome to The Wealthy Life. Today I have a special guest from the neighborhood. Her name is Rena Esposito and we actually met, was it like 5 years ago?
About three
years ago?
3.5
Okay,
years
so
ago.
she was on an original podcast that I had. It was called, I can't remember what it was called. Something about local healers. And so she came on, and it was my first time that I met her.
Yep.
It was a great interview. But it's been a while since we talked, and I know she's changed a lot. I've definitely changed a lot. So we wanted to have another conversation just to kind of talk about what she does and what type of healing modalities she uses at her business. So she has a business called Whole Body Balancing, and we will put the links for that business in the show notes. She also is on Facebook, same name.
Yes.
But what she does is she does manual lymphatic drainage and craniosacral therapy along with other things. So there were other things on your website,
Right.
which we can talk about. But I just want to get into a little bit about what you do first, and then we'll talk about your background after that. So tell us what manual lymphatic drainage is.
So manual lymphatic drainage is a natural healing modality that is science-based and science-backed that helps your body regenerate itself. It removes the cellular debris, which most people don't understand what that all is, and most people don't even understand that they have a lymphatic system, and
Right.
your lymphatic system coincides with your circulatory system.
Well, yeah, why don't you tell people what the lymphatic system is first?
So the lymphatic system is its standalone system. It's made up of the lymph nodes in the body, lymph cells, and it's throughout the entire body, and the lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump, unlike the vascular system, which is the heart, to pump all the blood around the heart. The lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump, and so it needs some stimulation. So whether that's by circulatory movement from walking or some kind of exercise movement, or muscle contraction is how the lymph can get going.
Yeah, so if you think about, you all have probably felt a lymph node on yourself before, especially if you have an infection. And those nodes are connected to a system of vessels.
Correct.
That all connect and then dump into the main vascular system, and then you can excrete that way. So those, they're basically like scavenging up all of these bad things.
Correct.
Debris, infections.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's a collector.
Yeah.
It's a collector of debris.
Of bad stuff.
Of bad stuff. But then the other side of the lymphatic system is that it also enhances your immune system because it can help collect and eliminate the debris. It then allows the capacity in your cells to have more immunity and better movement of the fluids.
And then what she was saying about it not having its own pump, so the heart pumps and then blood goes into your blood vessels. So that's the system that has its own pump, right? But the lymph system is just like kind of lays there. And if you're not moving, if you're not pumping your calves, if you're not walking around, it's not getting that pumping action.
Correct.
Which happens to a lot of people.
It happens to so many people.
I feel like everyone understands what it feels like to have swollen legs after being on a long flight or a long car trip.
Very good. Mm-hmm. That's a very good analogy. Absolutely. And it's the movement. And if people have had an injury, so say for example, you hurt your knee, you bumped it on the desk this morning, that knee is going to get swollen, and you're like, oh my gosh, let's rub it. Let's bring circulation there. Well, great. Well, how do you think all that circulation gets there? It's your immune system kicking in, and then the lymphatic system is going to kick in as well. But the reason why it gets swollen, or it keeps being swollen, or with the airplane ride with the swollen feet, is because you have stagnation in the body. Well, why do you have stagnation in the body? It's because of all of the lifestyle habits that we have. You know, we don't move enough. We don't hydrate well. The foods that we eat have glyphosates and genetically modified, and they're just poor nutrition overall. Seed oils, absolutely. And then things like pharmaceutical products, off-gassing from carpets, all the personal care products that we apply in our body, so that all enhances your toxic load in the body. And if your toxic load is so much, your body's just like, I can't take this anymore. I've been sending you pain signals to alert everything, but the body's like, I've had enough. So it's going to overcompensate in a different manner. It's going to send you those pain signals, and Americans do what Americans do, like they just push on.
Yep.
Because they're Superman, and they just keep going. But then at the end of the day, they're like, wait a minute, I really am starting to feel it because I don't have as good of athletic performance. I can't sleep as well. I have this swelling in my leg or my knee that just doesn't go away. I have heavy limbs.
My pants feel tight.
My pants feel tight. I'm bloating. I'm not going to the bathroom regularly, all of these things, high anxiety, is because you have so much stagnation in the body. And you're like, but I eat right. Are you?
Right.
And I move. Are you moving enough? Are you moving the right way? Are you, getting some fascia release in there? So there's so many layers to it. And when I work with people, I just try to break it down for them and just say, let's start with the basics.
Well, so tell us what you do. What actually is manual lymphatic drainage?
Okay, so manual lymphatic drainage is a modality, a medical type of modality that I do in my office. You need to have it done by a certified practitioner because there are incorrect ways to do it. But manual lymphatic drainage is a very light touch modality. It's very different from massage therapy. Massage therapy works with the tissue connections. Lymph therapy is very light touch because your lymph is right underneath the skin. And so it's very light touch. And so it's almost like a stretching and moving of the body up towards the main pathways, the main drain areas. And so I go throughout the entire body, open up your main pathways. We call them your superhighway areas. Open those all up and the collectors, and then bring everything towards those collector areas, and then it gets converted back and it leaves the body.
So you pull it up from the extremities
right
to the main spot where it can dump into the vascular system, and then the body can excrete the excessive materials.
Correct, right. And then once it excretes the excess materials, then your cells have more capacity for its own healing, more immunity, more ATP production, so on and so forth.
I love
so
ATP.
That's when
Everyone knows I love ATP.
That's when all the good stuff starts happening in the body because it's naturally like your body wants to do well.
Yes.
But we just keep hammering it.
Yes.
We're like, we exercise too much and we don't stretch enough, or when we exercise we might not replenish the body's fluids properly. We might be dehydrated, you might not get enough sleep, you might be too stressed out at work. Like all of these things play a physiological role in the body and how your body's responding. And then more symptoms keep piling up and like, oh, I have a headache. Well, it's just a headache, so move on. Okay, but I have a headache.
Or take some Tylenol.
And take some Tylenol.
Cover it up.
Or take another cup of coffee to get rid of the headache. Or then I'm fatigued and the headache. Like, oh, but it's only just a little bit of fatigue. I probably didn't get enough sleep. Well, then why are you not getting enough sleep? And what quality of sleep are you getting? So I talk about a lot of that in my office.
I was going to say, you talk, I want to go back to the lymphatic drainage real quick because I did have an experience. I've had a couple of experiences with it, not with you, which is I need to, but I had a surgery and I was in Arizona, and so I went to a lymphatic massage therapist.
Sure.
I think she was Polish or I think she was Ukrainian, so she was European trained.
Oh yeah.
And it was really interesting because it was just light pressure.
Yeah.
And she started at the ends of my extremities, worked her way up, and then once she got to like the belly part, and I could actually feel her pressing on specific lymph nodes, and it was almost a little tender. And then I got home that night, and my veins were just like huge because all of the fluid had moved from where it was stagnant to my vascular system so that I could then excrete it.
Right.
And then I was just pounding the water and
flushing it
out. But it was incredible.
Absolutely. And some people will tell me those types of experience time and time again. You're like, oh, I had surgery, and then maybe my doctor recommended the lymphatic work, or I read it online, or heard it from a friend or something, and people like, surgery? Like, why do I need this lymphatic drainage before surgery? But it really does help improve the healing so fast. It accelerates your body's healing, and because you're getting rid of all that debris from the anesthesia and naturally enhancing your immunity, it's just very, very helpful to cut the healing time. I've seen in half.
I would say, if we were in a perfect world, anyone who had surgery would be getting lymphatic therapy.
Absolutely.
Every person.
Absolutely. I have people that come in to see me for sore shoulders, and they're going to go get a rotator cuff surgery, which is a big surgery because that shoulder girdle is really complicated. I'm like, okay, let's do some manual lymphatic drainage before the surgery. Like, oh no, like we'll just keep doing some massage with some soft tissue work in there. I'm like, no, we need to like get your body ready for surgery, boost your immune system up, reduce your toxic load, because in surgery they're going to load you up with more anesthesia, and then you want to have your body ready to receive its natural healing capacities at its highest form. So after they receive a lymphatic drainage session, their lymphatic motoricity, which is the speed at which your lymph system is working, is increased by tenfold. So it's very significant.
For how long?
For 24 to 72 hours, and
Okay.
then it starts to decrease.
Okay.
And so that's why I do recommend a series of 3 or 5 to get started if somebody's never had the lymphatic drainage before, because the motoricity is increased, and you want to optimize the body's healing capacity. People are like, oh, I just want to do one, just try it. Well, that's okay. It's kind of like taking a vitamin C once. Like, did it help? Like, it's really good and it's very beneficial,
Right.
but you probably need to do a little bit more, a little bit longer. And if you've had a shoulder injury for 12 years, you need some work done in your body.
Yeah, things are going to be a little stuck.
It's been accumulating for decades and decades. And sometimes there are issues where, there's an accident and, like, the body just had a crisis.
Right.
That does happen. But generally speaking, people, it just builds and builds. It's chronic. And people then need to find the way, like, why do you want to start working with yourself right now? And I ask my clients that, like, why now? Because they have to be ready for it, because they have to do the work at home. I can give them tools.
What's the work at home?
So
that's right. I have had patients that see you who go home and they have exercises.
Yes, I give them exercise.
Which
I
I
give them
thought was really
do.
cool, because I'm like, oh, are you still seeing her? And they're like, oh, no, she saw me for my round of treatments, and now I'm just doing all the work at home. Which is awesome.
Which is good, because I like to see my clients, but I also like it when they don't see me, because then they're feeling better.
For sure, right.
And
then you can see more people.
And then I can see more people and help more people. And then I've taught them a lot of tools and techniques that they can help their friends and family. Like, that's the ripple effect that I love.
Right.
That's a big reason why I do what I do. But also, on the other hand, people have to understand, like, your drainage pathways are going to keep getting clogged if you don't keep them open. The only way to get them open is to have a professional like myself, like, do this procedure every now and again. And that amount of time is different for every person. But you want to keep your system ramped up.
And you can probably tell when they need to come back, right?
I do.
When you're feeling them, you can probably feel how...
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I do. And I'm very honest with my clients to say, maybe I think you need another session in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, or if you're doing all these things at home, so you're doing some rebounding, you're doing some movement, walking. It doesn't matter what kind of exercise it is. You just need to move. Muscle moves the lymph, circulation moves the lymph. So just keep moving. Eat clean, eat an anti-inflammatory diet. We can talk for 3 hours on that too. Really watching your gut health and your sleep and stress loads. So we talk about all of that. So that does play a role into how often somebody needs it. But that's the kind of homework. And then maybe there are some stretches, like deep diaphragmatic breathing is super good, because there's so much lymph right in that abdominal cavity that you had mentioned, Dr. Wagner, that not only is your sternochyli right here, your main lymph node is here, but then that's also your solar plexus, right? From I do therapeutic acupressure, and from a Eastern medicine standpoint, like, that is a main area there too. So it's amazing, like, that body is all connected. You're like, wow. That's really full in there, but I don't have any digestive issues, or I don't have any sleep issues. I know, but it's all connected.
Right.
Your body's all connected, so we have to look at it from a holistic standpoint. I look at it from a holistic standpoint, because we can't just treat one part. You gotta work with the whole system of the body, which is one unit.
And that's why you do a lot of health coaching.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you do it independently, just health coaching, or is it always incorporated with some of your manual therapies?
I do it independently as well. Some clients I do independently. Whether clients like it or not, they receive health coaching during every session with me, because it's all about lifestyle and managing that, and I want to help them be accountable for reaching their health goals. And if I don't ask them the questions, are they really going to be doing their homework at home?
Right.
And they know when they come back, I'm going to ask, what happened? How's this going? Did you do this? And how did that go? And like, oh, I better do my homework.
Well, and that's,
right? So
it's very similar. That's very similar to the traditional medical model, because when people go to, let's say, a traditional doctor, and this is not all traditional doctors, like, some of them do some coaching and lifestyle stuff.
Right.
But a lot of the times, patients go to their doctor, and it's just all about, okay, here are my problems, and the doctor's like, okay, here are the pills you're going to take for your problems. We'll see you in a year.
Yeah.
Or we'll see you in 3 months.
Yeah.
And so the patient is on this, like, dependent relationship, almost like a victim, where they don't have any power over making themselves better. And it sounds like you're actually doing the therapy, but also empowering them to make the changes on their own at home.
Absolutely,
and that's incredible.
And that's why I do what I'm doing, because I had my own health issues, and I felt sick and tired of being sick and tired, and had a health crisis and I was in the hospital.
Was this in New York?
Yeah,
Okay.
I lived in the suburbs of New York and New Jersey, and worked in New York City, the whole rat race there. Mm-hmm. And I was told that I might not go home. So then what? And then they send you home with all these pills, and you're like, okay, now what? Now what?
Because, yeah,
and then everything is fine now, but you feel like crap.
Because how long were you there?
27 years.
And you were in corporate.
I worked in corporate finance prior to that. So I did the rat race in New York City, like worked all these crazy hours, commuted an hour and a half minimum into the city, an hour and a half back. And like that was just part of the way it was and is in that area. It's a rat race, and that's kind of the expectation. Like you just go and go. And so I was in it, and I had this high paying job, and I had a lot of people reporting to me, and I was a mentor.
And you had all the nice things.
I had all the nice things, but but my health was not good. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, because I just was one of those people, like, I just kept pushing, like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm a little tired, but it'll be fine, it'll be fine, until you're not, and you wind up in the hospital, and you're like, whoa, okay. And then you get sent home with all these pills to go take, and these pills are going to help you. And I'm like, but these pills aren't helping me. Like, I still feel like crap. And all these follow-up appointments are like, you're fine. But when you're not fine, the doctors don't spend the time to say, how are you sleeping? What are you eating? How are your social relationships?
What is your spiritual connection
like? Like, where are your moments of joy?
Are you having fun?
Yeah, where are your moments of joy? And are you doing all that? And no, like, I was depleted. I was completely out of balance, and I didn't realize that. And I don't know how I got myself wrapped up in that, other than it was just the ego. Yes. And then I just had to finally let go of that ego. And I'm like, all right then. And it took me a lot of work to get rid of that ego. But that's exactly it. And so the doctors that I saw never talked to me about my sleep or my nutrition. They're just like, here, take some more pills. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way, So I just had to start thinking, let me go back to my roots of growing up in De Pere. My parents had an organic dairy farm.
That's right. So you were here.
Yeah.
I forgot whether you were here or not.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm like,
you had an organic dairy farm?
Yes. And so what happens? Okay, all the animals, they eat really well, and they are, out on pasture, getting fresh air, walking around, sleeping when they need to sleep, lay down when they need to lay down. They are a herd, so they're very social animals. So, what do I have?
Amazing.
What do I have? So, I had none of that, because I was just so focused on my professional career and growing my ego. So I just said, at one point, I just said, enough.
So you just quit?
I quit. I gave in my month notice.
And you had no idea what you were going to do?
I didn't. At that point, I didn't know what I was going to do. Other than I knew I wasn't going to be doing that corporate job anymore. I had been doing a lot of certifications. I got my licensing for massage therapy, and I took a lot of classes, because that was my outlet. I loved doing a lot of these health seminars, going to read books and podcasts and all the health events I could find. I was just a guru. I love the science behind it all. So I studied it all, and I then started putting it into practice with some clients. I did it as a hobby, and then I just said, I then got in a car accident, and I was rear-ended, and I had incessant vertigo for 9 weeks. That is god-awful. But after that, I'm like, I'm done.
And so you're still in New York at this? Or
yeah, at that point,
suburbs.
I was still in New York City. And at that point, I asked my doctor, then followed up, I had the incessant vertigo, and then I had an ear infection. And I'm like, doctor, why do I have this ear infection? Is this because I used to have a lot of ear infections when I was a kid? And he's like, no, it's stress. And I told you to quit that job 3 years ago. So when are you going to quit that job? So was that moment really that done? That was the decision. Right. So I went home and I told my husband, I'm like, the doctor said I should quit my job. And I'm like, I'm not going to. So I percolated that a little bit. And then I'm like, so now what? So I don't know. I just knew I was not going to work in that crazy job anymore. So I then took 3 months off, and I just rested and, slept when I needed to sleep, and ate when I needed to eat.
Growing up.
Yeah. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. But
Yeah.
then I'm like, now what? What am I ready for? So I got out my Excel spreadsheet and, put out my little list of what I like to do, what do I not like to do, who do I like to spend time with, so on and so forth. And it was all pointing to all this health stuff. So I'm like, well, that's it. I'm just going to do my practice full time. And so from that day forward, I just said I'm going to do my health practice full time and no regrets.
And I
Absolutely
would say,
no regrets.
like a lot of people I feel like are stuck where they're like, what's next? You know, whether they've stayed home and taken care of their kids and now the kids are all out of the house, or they're in a career that they hate, but they're like, I've been in this career for so long, what else do I do? Like doing the spreadsheet type of stuff. Like I probably have dozens of notebooks of just writing out like, what do I like to do? Who do I like to hang out with? When am I most in my flow state? What do I gravitate towards when I have nothing else to do that doesn't feel like work to me? And it leads you to the right path.
That's right.
For sure.
For sure. And when I gave my notice at my job, I didn't tell my coworkers, like that was my boss's job. And so people started trickling into my office and shutting the door like, oh, Rena, I heard you're leaving. What are you going to go do? I'm like, I'm going to have something closer to home. I'm going to do what I enjoy doing. Like, because I had no idea, but I wasn't lying. I was just like, I never said I don't know, because I'm just like, well, I'm just going to do something closer to home. I'm going to do what I like to do, use all my skills and experiences, and I'll just going to really enjoy it. So it was very vague. And people would come in and like, I wish I could do what you could do, like just go up and, get up and leave. I'm like, but you can. You can. And so at that time I was a mentor to a women's group at my office job. And they're like, but I have kids at home. I'm like, okay, but you have skills and knowledge. Like you can go do things. Like because you have kids, like that's even more the reason why to do these things.
Model it to them.
To model it, absolutely. And I said, like, this job is going to suck your soul dry. I said, so, yeah, the money is good. I said, but it's going to make you sick and tired.
Yeah.
And you're not going to feel good, and you're not going to be there for your kids. You're not going to be there for your family. I said, so you got to figure out how it's going to happen. So that's why I do what I do, because I was there, but then I also know, like, what I didn't get from the doctors that I was seeing. Like, I didn't get the nurturing. I didn't get the one-on-one attention. I wasn't heard.
You had to go to podcasts and books.
Yeah. And webinars and
to get that.
Just to get what I could. And, but it's a process. Like, it didn't happen overnight. It took years to unwind all that. And I think sometimes I still am unwinding.
It probably still is unwinding.
Yeah.
And that happens to
and then it's just a matter of, where are you and how do you resonate with things? And I've tried a lot of different modalities. I saw a lot of really good practitioners.
Because you weren't always doing the lymphatic work. I don't think you were when I first talked with you either.
I was certified in it, but I wasn't actively doing it as much, because I always thought when I was in massage school, working nights and weekends to get my license requirements when I was already working like 80 hours a week in the other job.
Oh, gosh.
But that's what it was a means to the end. But I was certified in the lymphatics, but I wasn't working at it so much because I didn't really understand the need for it here in this area. But now I am so embracing more of the mind-body connection and the whole-body connection, because this is a different area in the Deep here Green Bay area than, New Jersey and New York City. Like,
very different.
Very different. And so I was kind of skeptical and a little leery to, like, talk to people about this modality that they may not have heard about. And I don't always talk about modalities by their name, because people don't really care so much what the modality name is. They want to just feel better. So, I bring it all together. So now I do a lot of lymphatics because I totally understand the connection of the neurological system with the cardiovascular system, with Eastern medicine, with the physiological components of fascial release, soft tissue release, nourishment, all the health conscious stuff. Like, I bring that all in now.
It's all one thing.
That's all. And I am not ashamed to say, what are we going to do today? If you came into my office, I'm like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. And like, okay. Some people know exactly what they want when they come into my office. Like, hi, I heard about this manual lymphatic drainage thing that my friend told me about. I really want that. And I'm like, why? What's going on that you want that? And why now? Because What about yesterday and what about tomorrow? Like, are you ready to commit to it? So some people come in for a very specific modality, like the lymphatic drainage or the craniosacral therapy. But other people are like, I don't know, I just heard from you from a friend, and here I am, like, I need some help.
Just do something to me.
Do something to me. And I think that's really where I find the greatest joy, because I'm very authentic with people, and I'm very real with them. But I also understand, like, they are in some kind of pain.
To be seeking help.
Whether it's physically visible to me or not, they need some kind of help. They need to find help to turn the corner.
Well, how much can you feel where people's pain is? Not like you're a psychic, but like I feel like hands-on therapists have a intuitive sense of like, oh, I can feel this, and
a lot.
It's like an energetic sense.
I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and I feel a lot of things going on in people's bodies. And if it's not in the intake form, I talk to them before we get started into doing the therapeutics, and I can tell people are holding back a little bit because they're nervous, they don't know me and what to expect, and that's fine. Here are my main concerns, that's great, so we'll work through that. And then once on the table, I'm like, oh, well, how's your digestion? Like, oh, how did you know that? Or they went and had scans, and they're like, but the doctor said everything was clear, and then I'll touch them in certain points, and they're like, ouch, wow, that's really sore, tender. And so healing is the most primitive modality. Touch is the most primitive healing modality, and it's beautiful. And think of a newborn babe. They come out crying and they get, cradled, and that's to help nurture them, right? And so my opportunity and my joy is to help people in that nurturing side that they might not otherwise get. And so I do very often work with people that like, wow, I didn't even know my shoulder hurt. I didn't even know I had slow bowel movements, or I didn't even know my headaches were that bad.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you can just do this and that. Like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea. Because we don't talk about that stuff.
No.
And we don't talk about that stuff. And people have to find like where their balance is and what do they believe in. And that oscillates, I think, time to time as we age or as you're in a different season of life. And people just need to kind of realize, like, what is it that they need right now? What's going to fill them up, and how is that going to transform some of their health?
Yes. I'll never forget when I was working in the emergency room, and I had an elderly lady who had back pain, and she's sitting with her back towards me, and I'm standing in my white coat, and I went to touch her back, and I found a spot, and I was kind of rubbing it, like almost massaging it, and she just started bawling.
Yes.
Because she's like, I haven't had a doctor touch me in years. And I was like, wow. That was like right when I was like making the transition. I was like, yes, this is the right move.
Yeah, right, because it's that human touch.
It's a human touch.
Human touch.
Yeah. No, I think hands-on therapy is amazing. So I'm deciding which tangent I want to go down, because
I know
I want to talk about craniosacral therapy, but I also want to talk about how you see the connection between the nervous system and what you do, because a lot of what I do is it's all about getting people into balance.
Yes.
And whether that's with a drug or a supplement or a diet, counseling, it's like that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, how are we going to get your physical body, your mind, body, spirit into balance?
Right.
But a lot of it is nervous system dysfunction.
Yes.
It's that whole like autonomic fight or flight.
Yes.
Constantly pressing. So how do you work with that, and how do you sense it in people, and how do you treat that?
So I can feel different things going on in the body because I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've had a lot of different trainings and education, and I read a lot, and I observe a lot. And when a person comes into my office, I listen to what they're saying and what's on their intake form, but I'm also listening for what they're not telling me. And so then I can start asking the questions like, well, how do you feel about this? And what about that? And I'm like, how did you know? I'm like, okay, like let's open that can of worms and get going on it. And so many, we know the central nervous system is so always on fire. And most people, it's always on fire because we are in a go society, and we are doers. We have to get this task list done. We are doers. But we don't put on that task list 20 minutes of reading or 20 minutes of sitting listening to the birds. And so we're always on. Right. And so that dysregulation, so the craniosacral therapy is one type of modality that I do to help regulate the central nervous system.
Okay, so that's more nervous system based.
That's more nervous system based, and that can help regulate things from the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. It can help people with deep-rooted pain that's been stuck, because there are issues in the tissues and emotional issues in the tissues. It is very real.
Very real.
It happens with me a lot. It just... On Monday, I had a client come in. She's been seeing me for at least 2 years or so, and I was working with her, and she's like, gosh, my chest is really tight, really sore. I'm like, well, let's take a breath and see how that goes. And she's like, she's trying to just get herself situated on the massage table, and I'm like, let's like put a pillow underneath you, let's support you, and like take a deep breath, and let's go. And I said, what's going on here? Like, you are over nurturing someone or something. And I said, and you are not nurturing yourself. And like, this just came out of my mouth.
Did she cry?
She didn't, but she's like, I have too much going on. And you're right. Like, and then she went into more of the story. Like, I knew a little bit about what was happening in her family, but she just opened up even more. I'm like, you got to work with that. And, talk to a counselor about that. And I gave her a couple ideas, and she's like, yeah, I know.
That's incredible.
It's incredible, and it happens a lot. And some people, there are certain points of the body that are more emotional points. I'll just touch them, and they're like, wow. And so they'll either cry or laugh.
Right.
And sometimes both at the same time. And they're like, I don't even know what this is all about. I'm like, but you do. Just quiet the body and just be still, and the answers will come. And I said, because we have to spend time in our bodies to think about what's really going on and how can you best support your body. And that's also too, from a spiritual aspect, like, how are you being filled? Or what are those deficiencies? And it's only in those moments of quiet and stillness when those answers are going to start coming out.
Yeah,
it takes a long time to do that.
I had a patient in the past year who has told me how she had started to not listen to music or podcasts anymore when she's driving. She had a longer commute.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a good idea. So I started doing that on my walks.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I don't need to consume information all the time.
Yes.
Like, sometimes I just have the information in me and it just needs to come out.
Right.
Or sometimes I need the divine intervention
Interaction.
of listening instead of just constantly listening to other people's voices.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Right, because we know. We know.
A lot.
We know a lot. And
lot.
our bodies are amazing.
Yes.
And we just have to tap into our body's innate information. And then when that happens in the quietness, and tap into your spiritual realm. And you got to get filled. You got to have your spiritual life more well-rounded, because there are so many people that are just depleted and lost. And then that's just one component of your lifestyle. But if you're depleted and lost in that realm, what else are you depleted and lost? And then what's overcompensating for that?
Right.
Maybe you exercise too much, or maybe you drink too much, or maybe you have all these other habits. Which, yeah, exercise is great. Having a glass of wine is okay. But is it compulsive?
Right.
And that's not balanced.
Right. Not at all.
Not balanced.
Not
so
at
we
all.
want to think about how can we better balance ourselves. And, that's just peeling that onion. And I don't like to always use that phrase.
No, but it's true.
It's true. Like,
It's
we
very
have so
true.
much going on. We just have to start thinking, like, what can I do right now to help myself? And, yeah, just shutting off that social media, shutting off the radio, and just going outside for your walk or your run. And
It's
just
the perfect
listen
time of
to
year
the
for it. The birds.
Oh my gosh! And the flowers are in bloom, and the
Yes.
trees are in bloom, and
Yes.
everybody's out there raking their lawns to, get more green coming through. And so that's just those moments of joy. And I make comments to my clients all the time, like, find your moments of joy.
Right. No, and I would
Find
say
your moments of joy.
I work a lot, and I've been working a lot on weekends even, and so my son's on the golf team.
Oh,
So
sure.
I was like, you know what? And my husband's a great golfer. I was like, I should just do this. So the last couple of weekends, I've golfed 18 holes.
Whoa, okay.
That takes like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But you don't have your phone.
Yeah.
You're walking. There's birds.
You're with your family.
You're with your family. And I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I was actually more productive those 2 weekends that I took the 5 hours it takes to walk a golf course.
Right.
Than I was to sitting at home on my computer researching and
Absolutely,
creating
because
stuff.
it helps reset your central nervous system, bring back all of that. It does help reset your central
Yep.
nervous system from a different level. I can put my hands on you in a therapeutic way and just really try to help move things through. But that's when the homework comes in that we talked about at the beginning. what kind of homework are you doing at home to help yourself?
Right.
And that is a very good example, because you're like, I just need to do this for me, because like you said, you were more productive, you probably slept better, and you had your heart full because you were with your son and your husband. And look, it's beautiful out here.
Yeah,
you know, look at the scenery that we are surrounded by. So those are moments of joy not to be overlooked. Like, the little things are the big things, and people just have to like take a step back, and they don't have to go golfing, but they, you know, that's fine. But put on your favorite socks,
right?
You know, if you're like, so I was there, like I was so like, I cannot do this, I'm so stressed out. But what could I do? Okay, I can put on my favorite pair of socks, or my favorite sweater that was, when I put it on, it was warm and soft and snuggly. Or I would listen to my favorite song on the radio, something like that. Like little things.
Right, little gifts.
And little gifts. And the more you do those little things, it fills you, and it does not leave room. It eliminates those things that are always going on in your brain. So it helps shut down the chatter, and then that naturally is starting to reset your central nervous system. Yeah.
Do you have any books that you would recommend to people who are like, oh wow, I really like what she's talking about?
Gosh, so many.
I know, and if you don't have it, that's fine. But
The Body
like, I feel
Keeps
like
the
people,
Score.
That's the one that
The
keeps my
Body
mind.
Keeps the Score
I think it's
is
wonderful.
a must read, I think, for everybody. I've read it several times at different points in my life. That is a really good read. It's not very long, but it can be very rich. So read a few pages or a chapter, put it down, think about it, let it percolate, come back to that. I think that is really amazing.
That was running through my head like 10 minutes ago. I was like, Body Keep Score, Body Keep Score, Body Keep Score.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's such a good one.
Because I didn't realize that your body would have pain because of emotional stuff, old trauma. I did not realize that until I was in my 30s.
Right.
And then when I found out, I was like, oh wow, I've been dealing with back pain for 15 years.
Yeah. And once you start unraveling.
And it's gone.
Yeah. Right.
And it did not go away from surgery. And it
Or
did not go away from
Yeah.
pain medication. It went away from
addressing
work.
those. Yeah.
Lots
From the
of
work,
work.
the hard work.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of hard work. And people are
But it's good
afraid
work.
to do. It's good because you're investing in yourself. And that's the beauty of it all. Like, you are investing in yourself, and that means different things to different people at different times.
Right.
And so when people are ready, we know,
Right.
when people are ready, the teacher appears, but also when the people are ready, like, you are going to do the work.
Right. And it's like a little bit of pain and discomfort, and then it's a big opening, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know I could feel this way. And then it happens again.
Yeah.
It's like this
It
constant-
oscillates.
Yeah.
It oscillates.
Yeah.
And I say sometimes it's good to keep going down a path of healing or change. Going forward is fantastic. But sometimes you're going to go sideways because you're going to plateau.
Yeah,
and you're
taking
just
a
like,
break is great.
taking a break. You're like, I'm overloaded. Like, this is all too much. I don't like this feeling in my body. Like, I don't know. So fine. Then just take a break, but keep the momentum. But just don't go backwards.
This is totally off topic, but do you talk to people at all about their mindset and like not necessarily affirmations, but like how are you talking to yourself?
I do.
Because I've listened to a couple of recent things. Joe Dispenza, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah. Oh, he's huge.
Awesome.
He's huge.
But even I listened to this short YouTube video, and it was talking about like, okay, in the morning you should say these things, and do it again at 2, and then do it again before bed. So I was like, okay, I'll incorporate that with my little prayers. And the first morning I did it, I was like, I cannot believe how many negative things I have said to myself in the first 5 minutes that I woke up.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm a pretty positive person.
Right.
Like, I'm in this industry.
It's huge, though, mindset. And I talk to people about that in a very gentle, loving way. Because people come in to see me for all kinds of reasons. Like, some of them are so stressed out, anti-anxiety medications, antidepressive medications, pre-surgery, post-surgery, some people are just really sick.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, so that's when we talk about, like, where are your moments of joy and where is your mindset with this? Like, and do you want this thing that you just told me about? Like, do you want those headaches? Do you want the gut aches? And sometimes the answer is yes, because sometimes people need that. So if the answer is no, then I'll be like, okay, well, that's more of a conversation we can have in this direction. If they say, yes, I need those headaches, because people need things for different reasons, and that's not for me to decide.
No.
So yes, I need that. Okay, then we have these kind of conversations. So if you're saying yes, I'm ready to change, I don't need those headaches, or I don't want the gut aches, or I want my hormones to be more balanced, or I don't want the fatigue, so on and so forth, what can we do? Like I say every day, write down 5 things before bed that you were grateful for the day. Like, oh my God. Okay, do one. Like, let's start small.
Right.
Let's start small. And when you're looking in the mirror, like, hello, like, wow, you have great.
Like, look at yourself.
Look at yourself.
Look
and
at
you're
your
like,
own eyes.
I have beautiful blue eyes.
Right.
Or, great. Like, I have clear skin. Wonderful. Like, you have to start small, and people have to start thinking, like, why are we here on this earth? Like, we are here to do good things, and we're here to fulfill our mission. And if you're just going through life in this robotic way, like, you are not living your best life.
And you're going to feel terrible.
And you're going to feel terrible. You are going to hit a wall.
Yes.
At some point.
Your health will not be good. You will feel terrible.
And your family's going to suffer.
Yes.
Because now you're spending more time in doctor's offices and hospital beds, and heaven only knows what else can happen.
Right.
Bad things can happen. And so, like, paying attention, we have to start paying attention to those small things. And mindset is huge. And it all comes into being one body and working with it from a holistic standpoint. You got to talk about all of that. You got to talk about mindset. You got to talk about nutrition. You have to talk about movement. You have to talk about sleep. You have to talk about your spirituality. You have to work with this body as one unit.
Right.
And so that's what I try to do in my
I love
office.
it.
Yeah.
So we went on so many different tangents than I thought we would.
That's okay.
I didn't even look at my notes except for one time, but I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to ask those questions. So what's the easiest way for people to find you? So I'll put your website on there.
Sure.
Can people book online, or do they email you? Do they call you?
So they can go to my email, my website, and they can read a little bit about me, which doesn't have a lot of information, but they can go to my website and look at me, find my telephone number. I have a phone call with everybody before they get on my schedule. I do have a phone call with everybody before they get on my schedule, because I want to know that they are ready to do some work for themselves and they are committed. If they're not ready to do some work themselves, I don't have the time for them either. Like, I cannot be more vested in this than they are. Yeah, they're going to pay me to come and go away, but then they're going to I saw Rena once and it didn't work.
Right.
It's like the vitamin C issue. Like, you took one vitamin C and did your sinuses clear up right away? Probably not. But it helped, but you didn't recognize it fully. So I do have a conversation with everybody before they get on my schedule. And then once they're on my schedule, then I may allow them to book online. I like to control my schedule because I need to know who's coming into my day, because I can't deplete myself.
No, right. You have to take
and
care
so
of yourself.
I can't have all of the same kind of people in one day. I need to spread out my workflow, my energy flow, so to speak. Like, you know, how I need to be present for my people 100%. And so I am mindful, like, who's coming in when. And so booking, going online to find my telephone number is the fastest way to find me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so I don't know if I'm going to send myself or my husband first.
It's usually the female, and then they tell their spouse or their loved one, their partner, because they're like, I don't know, my wife told me to come.
Right.
Here we are. So it's okay.
Yeah, but I would say we didn't really cover on the types of patients who would come in or clients, but like in my eyes, obviously pre and post-op, chronic inflammatory conditions.
Yeah.
People who are just wanting to optimize themselves. I think that's an amazing thing. I know that you said on your website you had something about neurological conditions like Parkinson's, ADD. So you work with people who have like brain neuro stuff.
Yeah.
So it sounds like almost anyone.
Pretty much anybody who moves and wants to feel better, I will help them, because it's about helping them find the quality of life. I do see people with traumatic brain injuries. That's more of where I was in New Jersey. Neurological issues, a big focus of my office, of people with neurological issues. My brother was in a bad car accident, truck accident, and he had a traumatic brain injury. And at that time, I was just learning the craniosacral therapy. I'm like, well, now I know why I'm learning this.
Yes.
So things happen for a reason all throughout my practice, like, and that's why things are always evolving, which is such a gift to really understand all of that in my perspective. So yeah, I do see a lot of people with neurological issues. I see people with lipedema and lymphedema. Autoimmune issues is huge. because you got to get the stagnation out. You got to
Right.
get things moving. I see people who want that anti-aging or age reversal. And I said, I'm glad you're here, but again, are you ready to do the work?
Right.
Because anti-aging means different things to different people, and that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but and again, are you committed to doing that? And I do see some student athletes, because mom and dad told them to come, but they have a lot of concussions. And if you have concussions, that brain, you're only one brain
Right,
for your entire
right.
life, and if you're concussed, it's just going to lead to more neurological symptoms going on down the line, and then it's just all the inflammation in the body too.
Right.
So I work with so many different types of people.
So-
fibromyalgia, MS, and
If you're, I would say the last thing that I want to share with our audience is there anything they can do other than taking quiet time and listening to the birds and filling their bucket?
Yeah.
Is there anything they can do to themselves, like manual therapy, that you could recommend that anyone would do, or is that something you have to see someone first
Oh
for?
no, there's plenty of things you could do yourself. Like self-soothing is good. Like one area of the body is right underneath your ears, like by your auriculars here. Just palpating that is super helpful. People, as I do this, I'm like, people with sinus issues, dental work, drainage for all the dental work, root canal stuff. Oh my God, that all gets stuck in there, right? So palpating right around the neck and in the clavicle area, these are two main areas. And this is also self-soothing too. And then also by the belly, right underneath that sternum, because that's a main node there.
Mine bruised after my episode. She hardly even pressed on it, but it was so inflamed. So inflamed. It was just like, rah.
Yeah. So those are some areas you can do.
Okay. And then rebounder, you said.
And the rebounder.
I think those are awesome.
Rebounder, or if you
vibration plate?
Vibration plate is fine too, but that's artificially supportive. It's still a good tool. If you don't have a rebounder, don't go buy one. Just go on your sofa and go start bouncing on your sofa and your bed.
On your bed.
It's all good to get things moving.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. People can do journaling. They can write themselves a love letter. That sounds hokey, but
no, not at all.
Turning in to do that self-love and having that quiet time. Just locking yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes without your kids, if that's what you need to do. Literally, just lock the door and deep breathe for a few minutes. Because you need to be present for yourself. And if you're not present for yourself, how can you be present for your family, right? No. So there's so many tools, and there's never a one-size-fits-all. And I really do try to meet people where they're at. And I'm very authentic in my approach. And people have to find with what resonates with them.
Right.
And I am not the practitioner for everybody. Because
same here.
But that's okay.
Totally
and that's part of the reason why I have a phone call with everybody before they get on my schedule, is to better understand our fit.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you so much.
To the office.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I think that, like I said, we talked about so many things that I did not think we'd talk about, but I'm so excited that we did.
Yeah.
And I really hope that you guys go and book an appointment with her and check out her space.
Thank you.
And again, I have not had it done by you, but I have had the manual lymphatic drainage, and it was incredible and real results. And I only did it a couple times, so obviously it'd be better to do it more. So I really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
Let you get back to your busy day.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and go find your moments of joy today, because I know you had a stressful morning as well. But you know what? You just take that as it is, and you just that's just more fuel to the fire to fuel me up.
I have a golf lesson today.
There you go. Yep. See, you just gotta take care of you first, because if you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of anybody else.
Totally. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a joy.